Hey everyone, this is Corey. I want to quickly say that if you enjoyed this review, please show your support by liking this video and make sure to subscribe. In this series, we will find out if arcade is worth it. As always, we talk about the good stuff, the bad stuff, and then I give you my opinion and tell you whether I think it's worth it. So let's get right into the good stuff. Arcade places you inside of a classic-style arcade game to protect Ark and defeat ADE, all in a retro first-person shooter environment. Make sure to keep an eye on Ark because you two share health, so when Ark is taking damage, so are you. In arcade, you use the right and left thumbsticks to move and turn, and use the trigger to shoot. The left trigger activates bullet time, which slows down time for enemies but lets you keep shooting just as fast. Bullet time is just one of many power-ups. To collect power-ups, you simply shoot the power-up block to activate its effect. Before we go deeper into different power-ups, let's take a step back and talk about the options which arcade offers. I was very happy to see the many comfort settings in arcade. There's teleport movement for those who get motion sickness in VR, and smooth locomotion for those who don't, and various other options such as half pressing the trigger to shoot, and an Italian mode which makes the game commentator Italian. Fucking what else? Some areas of cover can be destroyed. This adds a fun aspect to the game which keeps you moving, and there are actually explosive canisters you can shoot to assist in destroying some walls and objects. And of course, blowing up enemies. There are actually quite a few enemy types. There's everything from pistol dudes, SMG dudes, shotgun dudes, dudes who zap arc, motorcycle dudes, turrets with miniguns, cannons which lob artillery upon you, helicopter boys, and a few more unique enemy types to keep things interesting throughout each level. The boss is a ton of fun to fight and grows stronger and becomes more difficult to take down as you progress in levels. However, you fight the same boss at the end of every level, and the general mechanics are the same. I was honestly disappointed with the boss fights, but I will talk more about this when we talk about the bad stuff. There are also secrets in every level, so for those who want to fully explore, there's a ton of fun to be had with finding every secret area. There are 7 levels, and every one of them feels fresh and new, with completely different environments and a few fun surprises. The great thing about arcade is that it feels like a polished VR game. Not many indie VR titles hold this level of detail and polish, so I have to give it to the devs for making a great VR experience, and I hope to see more from them in the future. In combat, you can shoot incoming bullets as a way to defend yourself, and headshots feel good because they matter and actually one-shot enemies. Every weapon power-up has its own unique touch, and they all felt great. The default pistol has 16 shots before needing a reload, and this is a semi-automatic pistol, which means you need to keep pulling the trigger to shoot it. To reload, you either swing the gun up or down at any time. The SMG feels great because it's a break from pressing the trigger so much because it's fully automatic. The shotgun shoots a big web which goes through walls and objects, and the revolver shots bounce between enemies and walls to hit multiple enemies per shot. There's a laser which pretty much instantly kills enemies, and there's a grenade launcher which destroys larger turrets and can take out multiple enemies at once. I have to say, the revolver bullet animation is a bit weird because it just looks like a flat disc, which doesn't remind me of a revolver at all. But that's just my own personal opinion. With that being said, let's get into the bad stuff. So to start, with you and Ark sharing health, I'd like to know when Ark is in danger and being attacked during the chaos of combat. If there are any indicators currently, then they aren't any which I can hear. Quite often, I was off killing enemies while Ark was taking constant damage, and I had no idea we were losing health until I turned the corner and saw Ark getting annihilated by a beam of energy. Again, your objective is to protect Ark as well, since you two share a health pool, so having a proper indicator when Ark is taking damage feels pretty important. The boss arenas I felt were poorly designed. There's a single pillar for cover, and that's it. This continues with each boss encounter throughout the campaign, and they don't change much, leaving you with an empty feeling of accomplishment with each boss fight because they repeat the same fundamental mechanics over and over again. On top of this, with the lack of cover, you're going to be getting hit with many, many bullets. It's not a good feeling when you're defenseless in any fight, and if they've added more cover, or some sort of temporary shield in your offhand to defend yourself, then this fight would have felt a lot better. Overall, the enemies felt dumb and a bit simple. Most of them stay in a static position and will not move to flank or get a new position. This isn't necessarily bad, but it's something I'd like to see improved. Now this is a big one. Reloading removes power-ups. The reason this is such a big issue is because you accidentally reload your weapon very often, since it reloads when you flick your weapon up or down. Between fights, often I would relax my arms and hands, and when I pointed my gun down, it automatically reloaded, which removes any previous power-ups. This happened to me quite often, where I'd get a new gun power-up and shoot only a few times before accidentally reloading and wasting the power-up. The devs definitely need to do something about this, because it's quite frustrating to waste a power-up simply due to relaxing your arms between combat. For a large portion of my playthrough, I had no idea what bullet time was and what it does, because the game never explained it to me other than saying, pull the trigger to activate it. Well, the trigger makes the gun go boom boom, so I was a bit confused. It wasn't until later in the game that I accidentally pulled the trigger in my left hand that I realized what bullet time actually does. Bullet time slows down time, but allows you to keep shooting at normal speeds. This is actually one of my favorite mechanics in the game, because it allows you to strategically choose when you want to slow down time to either take an offensive approach, or slow down time to dodge incoming fire and take a more defensive approach. I am mentioning this in the bad stuff because the game does a poor job at explaining what bullet time does, but once I actually learned, I really enjoyed it. There were some objects which I was able to move through, but this is an easy fix and I'm sure the devs are already working on it. Just thought I'd give it a mention. I love shooting games and I love pistols because they are always accurate and good for headshots. However, in Arcade, I found myself getting fatigued with my trigger hand because I was pressing the trigger so damn much. This is because the majority of the time you're using your default pistol, since this is your only option when you don't have a power-up weapon. This left me having to switch to my middle finger to pull the trigger because my hand started cramping up during boss fights, where you are endlessly pulling the trigger to take down ADE. I personally think the pistol should have an option to shoot it automatically at a slower rate if you start to get fatigued. Outside of this, I absolutely loved playing Arcade, and I will definitely be playing it more. We're recording live. Alright, so you guys probably want to know about that giveaway from last week for Uperdegrad. Well, I drew the winner, and it goes to one of my favorite people, Hanimu in Germany. Congratulations, buddy. He played it already. I gave him the key already. He's really happy with it. Uperdegrad is awesome, actually. I enjoyed it a lot, but let's continue that trend, and let's give away this game that I'm reviewing today, Arcade. So if you guys want to enter, it's the same setup as last time. Click on the link in the description down below. You could do a few things to enter the raffle. The more things you do, the more tickets you'll have to enter in the raffle, which will give you a higher chance of winning. So if you want a Steam key for this game that I reviewed right now, Arcade, go ahead and click the link in the description. And I will say again, please only join the giveaway if you can actually use the key. I want it to go to somebody, you know, who's not going to sell it, who's actually going to enjoy the game for what it is. So please only do it if you can use it. Arcade is a big game. It's a lot of fun. I loved it. It was amazing. So enter it if you want to play. So, is it worth it? Arcade does things right, and it feels very well polished. The variety in enemies, environments, and weapon upgrades are fantastic. And Arcade's gunplay felt solid. There are 7 levels to play through, and they all felt fresh and new, with many secret areas to find in each of them. Arcade does have a few minor issues, which can make the game feel monotonous, like the repetitive boss fight mechanics, but everything else felt amazing and I had a ton of fun playing it. I really enjoyed Arcade, but I'm curious whether you think it's worth it. Let me know in the comments down below. I post new videos every week, so if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when I release new videos. Liking the video helps me a ton, and it shows your support. And if you want to know what's on my mind, then follow me on Twitter. Links are in the description down below. As always, make sure you think for yourself, which means question yourself, do what makes you happy, and I'll see you all next time.